Hello, my loves. Welcome to Be For Vibrant. My name is Kellyanne, and I'm so excited to. Oh, yeah, I forgot I have some ash on my hand still. I was smudging just now, and I still have a little bit of smoke lingering. Um, I'm so excited to be talking about good girl burnout and what happens on the other side of that chasm that you have to leap across when you get to the other side of I'm not your good girl. I'm not your good little girl. Because that's where I'm living now. And I still see some aspects of traveling back to the other side and still good girling and performing for other people. And I want to just tap into that with y'all because I know that so many of us who are born with uteruses um, end up playing that part. And it's not a reality that I would wish for anybody to stay in, which is because you're not a good girl. You're not anybody else's good girl. You are your own woman. You are your own person. And you get to be good and have goodness in you without performing politeness for everybody else at every single turn. So I want to just like jump into a story because I recently at work have realized like, oh, there are some good girl aspects that have come up, and it's really interesting how I've handled some of them. And I can think of two right off the bat. One is just being a good girl at work in general, in terms of being a, a freaking tryhard. I am a tryhard. I'm somebody who cares about things very deeply, and I can't help myself but to care, even in places, environments, situations where I really shouldn't. And I kind of don't. Like, I don't care, but I still care in terms of how I show up. I don't care about maybe the outcome. I don't care about our sales goal. I don't care about how other people feel on a day to day basis and making them feel better about themselves anymore. I used to quite a bit, but I don't care about that as much anymore. What I do care about is showing up with excellence and doing work that I am proud of, which has led me a little bit to dipping my toes back into good girl territory because I still appreciate when other people see the work that I'm doing and they validate me. Oh, I love the validation. Give it to me. Just pour it on me. Just give me all that validation. I love it. I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't. But also I recognize that it's very human, and I'm sure that you know, watching right now, you can feel the same way that it's so human to want other people, other humans, to see what you're doing and go, ah, yes, that's the right thing to do, or that's a good thing to do. We kind of all want to be good. We all want to do good. We all want to be perceived as good. But for good girls, and for those of us who are breaking out of our good girl conditioning, we're we need to get into the practice and into the habit of recognizing when we're being a good girl for ourselves and we're doing good work for ourselves and doing right by us, right by our own values. And when we're being a good girl because we're hoping that other people will give us accolades, will give us appreciation and love and respect. And I just talked about going for the gold star the other day. So if you feel like perfectionism is a way that you show up as good girling, then I suggest you go and you watch that video. But ultimately, good girling is a battle between what that definition means to you. Is it a good girl in terms of being a good daughter, a good wife, a good housekeeper, a good cook, a good all of the things that excuse me, all of the things that have been assigned to people with uteruses? Or is it a good activist? Is it a good friend? Is it a good wisdom keeper? A good crone? Like a good person who has made it to the end of their life and has given so few fucks about what other people think and how other people respond, that you've been good at being true to yourself. Ah, what if everyone's definition of being a good girl was that? Was a good girl is someone who is true to themselves. Ah, how the world would change. But that's not how it is. And that's not how our brains have been conditioned. That's not how our wiring has been kind of cauterized. You know, as we've grown up, good girls have been put on a conveyor belt of politeness and niceness and smiling and lace and frills and being pretty, so that other people can take up big space, and we're just taking up all these little pockets, all these little tiny pockets of space, just like girl pockets. Look, there's no pockets on even these pants. Why did I buy them? Just like girl pockets, we take up such a little tiny space. We take up little tiny space, and we take up little tiny space that is good to other people, that is pleasing to other people's eyes, that is pleasing to other people's ears, and the way that we giggle or the way we smile. Being a good girl is being a good girl is a condition that has been put on us. Sort of like if you play video games, or if you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, you will know that a condition is something that lasts for a short period of time, but deeply affects you. You might be paralyzed. You might have the paralyzed condition. You might have the sleeping condition. You might have the poisoned condition. You might have any number of these conditions, but for us, for good girls, it's the politeness condition. It's the pretty and polite condition. And working through that, it's often hard to decipher, even when we're at work and we're trying to do our best work and we're trying to be good at our jobs. It's hard to decipher when we're being good for us and when we're being good for others, and by other people's definition of good. Which leads me to my second story, my second example of falling back into good girl conditioning. And that is, or maybe not falling back, because as I'm like remembering, I'm like, I didn't fall back. I stood my ground, actually. I was on the other side of the chasm. I was on the other side of that leap that you have to take, where you go from good girl conditioning to I'm my own fucking person and don't tell me what to do. That's where I was living in this situation. And I'm so excited to share it because I was like, oh, this is the first time that I think I've had to really prove to myself that I can be tested and not buckle under the pressure of the male gaze, of the patriarchy trying to decide for me what is good. So I work with a man who is often uncommunicative, not respectful. I'll leave it at that. Doesn't communicate, doesn't respect people a whole lot. Probably doesn't respect themselves, but that's a whole other thing. So, interacting with them, I noticed that because they were being disrespectful, and I'm just trying to be playful at work, I'm just trying to play with other people how they play and uh, engage with people in a way that I don't have to get too deep because I I don't feel like I'm at my job to make a whole lot of friends. I've made a couple of friends, but there are people who don't like me, who I don't like. There are people who I don't vibe with, who I don't need to vibe with. And after my 30 plus years of living and, 20 plus years of working, I have recognized that I don't need to I don't need to be liked by everybody and I don't need to like everybody. I just need to play well with others up until the point where they are being intentionally harmful toward me. And then the gloves are off. You don't have my respect anymore. You don't have my trust. And we're going to have to pivot and we're going to have to treat things very differently. So that's where the turn this relationship has taken after I called him out. After I engaged with him in a way where I was recognizing this guy isn't very respectful. So I'm just going to poke and prod him playfully the way that he pokes and prods other people. Because maybe that's the way in. Maybe that's the kind of relationship that we can have. That's where I can meet him at. If that's where he is, maybe I can meet him there. So I'm joking with him and kind of insinuating some threats like if you don't do this, I'm gonna squeeze lemon in your eye or whatever, and just feeling like okay, we've gotten somewhere, we're on a roll because it didn't feel like it was easy to break through with this person, and I thought that we were in a good place. So did he, because he came into work maybe like a day or two after that, and we said hi to each other, and he asked me, "Have you been a good girl today?" Excuse me, sir? Good girl? Did you just call me a good girl? And that's sort of the reaction that I had, but more calm and also very present. Have you been a good girl today? And I asked, what do you mean by have I been a good girl today? Just turning that back on them. And this is something that that Kazia Urbanik, I know that I'm butchering her last name. Kazia Urbanik in um, Unbound is trying to teach us through the process of recognizing invisible labor that we do and some of the projections that other people place on us. So she teaches this game of like when you receive questions, can you volley those questions back? Because some of them are meant not intended to be mean or harmful. Some of them are just like, oh, you've gained weight. Are you pregnant? Or, oh, you've lost weight. Are you anorexic? Some of them are just rude questions framed in a rude way because good girls have been taught not to be bad in response. So nobody has the culture that we're in has a framework in which people can treat good girls however they want and ask any kind of rude question because we're expected to be polite and pretty in response. We're expected to accept what we receive and to just absorb and internalize all of the feelings that we might be feeling. And in fact, other people might not even conceive that we would feel anything in response to a near stranger slash coworker who is a man asking, have you been a good girl today? Can't even conceive that it would be a problem, that there would be feelings in response to that. So I volleyed back. I took the question and I returned it. What do you mean by that? And he sort of just reiterated himself of like, I mean, you know, you're mean. You're a mean person, because I've been treating him how he treats other people. And you're a mean person, so I was asking if you've been a good girl today. He thinks that it's an inside joke to call me mean when I'm the one who's like, in my head I'm like, I'm just treating you how you treat other people. And he asked if I had been a good girl, and the guy behind me who's close in age to me, closer I think in age to me than this guy um was like, uh had this really awestruck response and was like, oh, you really stepped in it, dog. And I basically said to him, I said to the guy who said this to me, with the guy behind me responding, I think that's a really inappropriate question for you to ask me, a grown woman, in a workplace. I think that's an inappropriate question. And he was like, how is that an inappropriate question? I said, if you don't know why that would be an inappropriate question to ask a grown woman at your workplace if she's been a good girl, then I don't have anything else to say to you, and you're going to have to reflect on that. And the guy behind me was like, that's a workplace no-no. And I was like, uh-huh. But it was a moment where I was like, ooh, I stood my ground. Somebody came directly at me with the good girl shit. And instead of going, good girl programming activated. Yes, I have been a good girl today. Smile, blink, blink, smile. Instead of reactivating my programming, I went, oh, that's wrong. I'm going to send this back. I'm going to return this to sender. And then I'm going to move on, because I don't need good girl programming was telling me I should teach this man right now why he's wrong. I should teach this man right now why that was such an inappropriate thing for him to have said to me. And yet, I didn't. And yet, I decided this is not the time or place for me to give of myself, because not only am I at work where I need to care less, I need to care a lot less, because I'm not getting paid enough to care this much, to care as much as I humbly, truly, genuinely always fucking care. I'm not paid enough to care as much as I truly always fucking care. But also, I don't have the kind of relationship with this man to where I feel good about taking the time to say, you know what? I trust that when we have this conversation, we're going to get to a better place, and you're going to take this and you're going to carry it into the rest of your life with you. Didn't have any of those feelings. It was just like, that's for you to figure out. And we had a day, and he came back and he apologized, and I said, great. Or I said, heard. And then we went through the rest of the day, and he asked, are you still mad? I said, I never was mad. I just kept operating the same way that I was before he showed up in my fucking life. And he took that very personally, and he's dealt with it how he's dealt with it. And now we don't have any kind of relationship. Now we're on now we're on bad terms in my book. We're on bad terms in terms of like, we don't say hi to each other We only say what we need to say. It's kind of like pulling teeth because he's a bad communicator and I'm an excellent communicator. So we have a whole other thing going on, and that's neither here nor there. The point is, the good girl in me wanted to do all these things, and it wasn't as hard for me to go, no, not this time. It used to take some stuffing down and some I oh oh I really want to. Oh no, I'm fighting myself. I'm fighting myself on the inside to not be overwhelmed by the desire to be a good girl. I just want to be a good girl. I want to be the goodest of girls. I just want to be. I just want to be a good little girl. It's been hard for me to fight that. And I didn't have to put up as much of a fight this time around. And I wanted to bring in like both of these situations happening at work because I can see myself trying in different ways, trying to be a little bit of a good girl and not caring at all whether I'm seen as a good girl, and in fact wanting to be a bad girl because you asked me now if I'm being a good girl. How dare you? I wanted to bring these together and share these stories with you because if you are in a place in your life where you're on the other side of the chasm, I just need you to hear some success stories so you can remember how good it feels to live on this side. And if you're not on the other side yet and you're still living in that sort of like the basket on the front of a bicycle that is being driven by a man, that's being, a man is in charge of and in control of, and you're just the pretty little Pomeranian sitting in the basket just being a good little girl. If you're still there, I need you to know what it looks like to be on the other side of being a good girl. Because the catch is, we all want to just live in peace and harmony with each other. Everybody does. Everybody wants to just live in peace. And we all have a different idea of what peace looks like. And we have somewhat of a different idea of what harmony looks like. But we know what peace and harmony feel like. Excuse me. Ooh, some Cheerio burps. Some cereal burps because I'm an adult and cereal is lunch. We all know what harmony and peace feel like. It feels like contentment. It feels like not trying so hard. It feels like fitting in. It feels like knowing where you stand. It feels like being an effective and productive version of yourself in unison, in team, in balance with other people and with our environment. Harmony and peace feel like what men experience on a regular basis because we are good girls. I'm going to say it again because I think some of you need this to sink in. Harmony and peace are what men feel like most of the time because we are good girls. So the good girl persona, the good girl mask and performance that we wear, that sort of geisha in us who puts on the makeup and folds our hands just so and takes up as little space as possible with our words and with our actions and with our physical presence. That good girl performance is hurting us. It's hurting us in that we don't get to be the people that we want to be. We're screaming on the inside and we end up just feeling trapped. We're like we're less like Pomeranians in bicycle baskets, and we're more like rats in cages. We're poked and prodded and expected to just keep hunting for the cheese every day. And I know that that's, I mean, a better metaphor for capitalism and patriarchy, because that's what the majority of people feel like. They feel this trappedness. We feel this trappedness, this stuckness. And good girls, black women, trans and queer folks feel that stuckness with extra layers. It's kind of like, a rat in a cage with a blanket around it, where it's like a little harder to breathe. If you're a woman living under capitalism, you got a blanket around your cage. It's a little harder to breathe than the male rats whose cages are open and they can actually see the world and they can have a little bit more agency in it. A lot more agency in it if you're a wealthy man, if you're a wealthy white man. But we have these layers on us. Black women have two blankets. It's harder to breathe. It's much harder to breathe. Trans black women have three blankets and are inside of a cardboard box. It's a lot harder to breathe. And that trappedness means that there are so many layers that need to be shed around the conditioning that we have with regards to the expectations people who have created things as they are now, who have designed this society that we live in, for people to see us in the ways that they expect us to be showing up. It takes so many more layers of getting through. And that's why because I'm a white woman, I identify as queer, but I don't wear it as my identity as thickly or as strongly as other people do, or as obviously as other people do. And I feel like if this is the layer that I can help other people shed and other people, like unwrap that present and go, oh, the present is me. It's a rat in a cage. Then at the very least, I can help fellow good girls to breathe a little bit better and a little easier, because I've been there before. So many of us have, and we deserve to experience the freedom of getting unstuck from, at the very least, the good girl conditioning that makes us perform in ways that we later regret, that we later resent the people in our lives for. I mean, I can think of a lot of other good girl conditioning that I've experienced lately, even in my relationship, where I felt like I couldn't or I shouldn't be completely honest with my partner because I didn't think that he could take it. Because the thing is, being a good girl is sometimes the difference between being safe and being dead and being unalived. Is sometimes the difference between uh, somebody hurting us and somebody helping us. And although good girls don't ask for help, when we do, we often do it with a smile. And after having done 10 things for every one thing, 10 things for somebody else for every one thing we ask of them. So I want to break us out of that. And I want to give as many resources to good girls breaking out of that people pleasing and maybe even perfectionistic habit of trying to show up in response to patriarchy as opposed to in response to your own inner sacred feelings and your sacred sensitivity that you might have. I want to give voice to that. And I also want to give as many resources and provide community for that, because we're all in need of breaking out of this cage, and we have to do it one step at a time. It takes lifetimes for us to break out of some of the things that generations before us, because I'm sure that you can trace your good girlness back to the women in your life and to the generations of men who have expected you to show up the way that the other women around you were performing. I'm sure that you can trace your good girl performance back to ways that you were taught through reward and through punishment to show up politely and nicely and prettily on behalf of your family, on behalf of other people, on behalf of folks who have told you they would be embarrassed if you were to be anything but, if you were to be anything other than polite and a good girl. I'm sure you can trace it back, and that lineage cannot be broken. That cycle within your lineage can't be broken overnight, and it can't be healed within the span of a couple of weeks. But I would like to invite you to get at least a little unstuck from that good girl, from maybe even the other ways that good girling has made you feel like you're stuck in a version of yourself that you don't even recognize as yourself. I want to invite you to take on some of that learning, take on some of the wisdom that I have to share. Being a crone, being a wisdom keeper myself, I have a lot of resources that I've compiled that I'm sharing all throughout this summer. And I know that summer is the time when good girls are tanning on the beach and, traveling to bachelorette parties and all of these other things, trying to be the best bridesmaid possible or trying to be the best daughter possible coming home from college and uh, hanging out with family that maybe you would rather avoid. But I think that's why it's so important to do this work, even during a time when we're all trying to catch a break, because the reality is the break that we're catching is often work that we're doing for other people. The break that we're catching is just a different kind of labor that we're performing. And like I said, maybe invisible labor, maybe labor that you don't even label as work, as effort that you're putting in for other people, that other people don't see you doing and don't appreciate you for, and maybe have never and will never acknowledge that you contribute. So now is an excellent time. And I dole out all of these resources in my Patreon. You can click on the link and check it out from the description in this video. I dole out all of these resources with just 2 resources a week. And it's in the form of videos, meditations, affirmation rampages, which are recordings of affirmations that are repeat after me's, and they're intended to help you shift your mindset so that you can imagine your life on the other side of the chasm, on the other side of where you are now, outside of that sort of pit you've fallen into of like, oh no, I'm a good girl and I can't get out. I can't break out of my good girling. I can't break out of this habit of avoiding conflict. I can't break out of this habit of um, just trying to please other people. I can't break out of this habit of showing up when I really don't want to. If you feel like you need help with any of those things, or you heard my story of like turning something back on a man and then not feeling the need to follow through with explaining myself or teaching a man about things that should be kind of fucking obvious, and you want to be there too, you want to feel that empowering. It was empowering as fuck, you guys. If you want to get to the other side where you are feeling super empowered by the new responses that even your body is having to not being a good girl, to not doing what other people expect you to do, have I got the community and resource library for you. I would love to invite you to the V for Vibrant resource library and community on Patreon. It's a socialist space, so you pay what you can and you get everything in there. It's not like other Patreons. If you know anything about Patreon, you pay for what you get. So if you pay less, you receive less. If you pay more, you receive more benefits. But that's not how mine works. You pay what you can, and you always get everything. So I would love to invite you into that space, even if you can only afford $10 a month to try it out and see if some of these resources are right for you and spark something in you that help you create the life that you would have had if nobody had told you that you needed to smile more. Even if it's just that, I would love for you to try it on, because trying on is an incredible way to break out of your conditioning. And it's also a great way because I'm a spiritual person and my guidance comes with that spiritual, soulful lens. Uh, I also really believe in telling the universe what we want by taking action. So even if you join the community for a week or two and you go, you know what, all this stuff here, not quite what I expected, but I like this and I don't like that. And I like this and I don't like that. I like this and I don't like that. I like this and I don't like that. You're starting to tell the universe what you really want and narrow it down and start to refine what you receive in your life, and saying yes to one library of resources and community for you. Saying yes to one thing, even if it becomes a no later, is still a yes to the universe for something that you proved. Like, I'm willing to commit to this. I'm willing to commit and I'm willing to show up because I'm ready for my life to change. I'm ready for my life to fucking change, and I'm not going to sit around and wait for a man to do it. I'm not going to wait around for a stronger woman to do it either. I need to be the strong woman. I need to be the girl who is healed on the inside so I can be good to myself. How's that for a good girl? Oh, yeah. I really want you to break out of it. And I really want, if you are on the other side and broken out, to experience that reinforcement. I love you so much. You are deserving of all of the good girl that you desire and all of the unconditional love you desire. You are deserving of love that is not dependent on the condition that you be a good girl. I truly believe in that. And if you believe in that too, I would love for you to like this video, share it with a friend, and have a beautiful, wonderful rest of your day.